you know, like in B flat, your dynamic thing. Everybody talks about dynamics, but it's not just the overall dynamic of the song. It's the dynamic of the notes because, you know, there's strong pulses and weaker pulses, and I think there's different strategies that exist where you accent the note. You know, so I hit a stronger note. It really propels. You know, so like an idea. Yeah, that's fine. But if I go, as opposed to, where it's very fluid and very mono, you know. So there's something. It's like talking, you know. There's natural accent when we speak. You know, you know, we force certain syllables or different vowels that make a difference. And so the most basic of playing, like say, let's just play in B flat.
Okay.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, cool. Being as rhythmic as you can. You don't need a lot. And I used to watch there was a video of like watching Anson Thunderbird with little Charlie, and he Anson's very um, spacious, utilitarian, and almost like an organ trio like player. You can see like guys like Jimmy Vaughn do good organ trios because they're really motif oriented and they really milk a simple line and they let the rhythm part carry some of the load for them, which is, that's a whole other thing to talk about. But yeah, when you play a guitar lead, don't think that your notes are, the sole source of you. You utilize the resources around you. If you leave negative space in your guitar solo, and you have someone else playing good rhythm, a chord behind you, that's part of your solo. That's part of, it exists in that environment. So there's a lot of times that, you know, what very simple ideas I use, I'm really harnessing the power of everybody else in the band to make it sound better.
I'll never forget when I realized, like, man, when I have this drummer and this bass player, it's so easy to play. It's so easy to play solo.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that much. Everything sounds great. And then when things are fighting like kind of battling, and the groove is weird, it's like nothing you play. It works.
And I notice I tend to overplay a lot. Like I notice, like if
it's not grooving, you'll overplay.
Yeah, I'm just like, you're overcompensating. It's like having a bad golf game or something.
Like you just keep trying harder to make it. I just try to make it.
This perpetual decline. You just got to spiral downhill because. And there's nothing you can do about it. It just is. And like I said, at that point, it's good to go to the bar and get a good beer. And,
and okay, maybe not today.
Then tomorrow,
I've always, I want to change the subject, actually. I've always been interested in jump blues and all of it. Really, like, my favorite guitar player is probably Freddie King. And he's, just this, like, bending vocal thing that he did, especially at the end. And I love Muddy Waters, but I always would look at the jump thing as like, man, that's some like next level musicianship. All of it is actually next level musicianship. But so when I bought your course, this is maybe like 8 years ago, I think I had learned one Hollywood Fats solo, and I had discovered that there was a lot different about like the way that I was going to be picking this up. So I learned a lot from getting into that, and then I bought one of your courses. I think it was the Kid Ramos one.
Yeah.
And learned some of that stuff.
I got that lesson from Kid's instructional videos. It wasn't what he was doing on his left hand, but I'd watch his right hand, and there would be this massive percussive attack. And I played gigs with him, and we'd do like a sound check. And usually sound checks are you going, guitar player, and you like clunk. It's like a 5-year-old clunking on a guitar.
Right.
And then he plays, they're going, oh man, you don't even need a band. And he's just
playing. Because it was swinging so hard.
And it's just totally. Like, how does you do that? And so, the right hand, being forceful with your right hand, I think is a mainstay of jump blues playing. And I think it's something that people don't talk about. So might not translate through the video very well, but I'm trying to put emphasis, and I'm very aware of downbeats and offbeats. Like counting is really horrible for guitar players. Like I remember my guitar teacher goes, "Well, you got to count," and goes, "I play my feel." But I realized that and there was years, like even in my professional career, I didn't count very well. Like I'm not like a very awesome at counting subdivisions of notes. But I realized, oh man, if I can just count a 4-bar break, that'd be really good. I mean, it used to be all these. I remember in the Candy Cane band, I had all these compensatory skills. Like I know there's a break coming. I didn't know how long it's going. I'm just gonna wait till I see the drummer slam on there too. So, it's like that took so much work. I just learned how to count to 4. But so there's a little thing in the back of my head where I know where the bar lines are and I know where to count. So like you work with that downbeat and be able to emphasize a downbeat or play on the offbeat. So everything is it stays kind of in the grid, even though we're playing very fluidly.
Mm-hmm.
The licks are kind of coming freely to us, and we're crossing bar lines. I'm still working within the, where it's, on, like I'm emphasizing an on or an off beat, or
mm-hmm.
And I don't count in triplets. I count in eighth notes when I'm playing. Because once I do a triplet, it feels like some of those notes really get locked in the grid, right? But that trip beat right in the middle, I could push and pull that, and get really. But the downbeat still has to be the downbeat, or you have to get to somewhere to make it work, So that makes there's some of that gelatinous feel, like guys like Mickey Baker. They're impossible for me to ride out because they're like, it's like the I use a lot of analogies, but it's, you're, say if the notes, in a measure is like a box, right? Or a box is a measure, and the shit you put in the box is the notes. It doesn't matter how much or little shit you put in there, as long as it fits in the box.
Right.
It could be one thing or another. Now, some boxes are really well organized, other ones are not. And so some guys have these really unorganized boxes, like a bag of groceries of shit just all over it. And Mickey Baker's one of those dudes, so it's hard to quantify. He's really kind of a lot like the ideas. Let's play again in B flat. One, same groove. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's kind of it sounds really cool.
Yeah.
But I couldn't write that shit out.
Like, how would you write out that?
I tried once. I tried to do it for some students, and I'm going, oh man, I'll put it out in tab, and I'll make like this, like this is a measure, and this is a measure, but it's really sloppy. But it sounds really organic, and it has this nice primitive sound to it that I really enjoy.
I tell people too. That's so funny you said that, because someone will ask me, like, well, what do you work on? I'm like, well, I've been trying to learn the same B.B. King solo for 15 years. Yeah. And they're like, what? Yeah. I don't get it. Like, I've seen you play all this fast stuff. I'm like, no, what you're not getting is, like, the way, milliseconds of where he's putting these certain notes, or the way that he's, like, coming, like, it's a rhythmic approach, but it's also very passionate. So it might be rushing a little bit, it might be behind a little bit. That really excites me. It makes the hair on my arm stand up.
Yeah, I have the same experiences.
So I'm like, so when I'm like, oh, I've been trying to learn that same solo. Yeah, I know what the notes are, but to make it really feel like him,
it's not gonna be. And there's all that dynamic complexity, one of my favorite records is I don't know what it's called. It's live at the Village Gate. And he's playing Sweet Angel. I think it's like everybody talks about Live at the Regal, and I think vocally that's his best record. But musically, the Live at the Village Gate's pretty awesome. And Sweet Angel, and he's playing with the time, he's playing with the dynamics so confidently and so organically that you just go, wow, man, how do you capture that lightning in a bottle? And of course he tried to, because it's like during that time period we had like 1 million live records, and that one just eclipses the other ones. They're all great. That one's just awesome. So.
Yeah. I don't have a fully formed guitar question, but I did want to mention, when we did play together, we had never done a gig, and this is my gig, and it was going to be a lot of Elvis, some Little Walter stuff, maybe like a Hollywood Fat song. So it's like this kind of dance music, kind of vintage dance music. That's the kind of the gig that we're going to do. And I start to play, and I think it was like Elvis, Little Sister, or something like that. And I play the lead part in between, Little Sister, don't you? And I noticed that you went to play that first.
Right.
So the first time we played it together.
Yeah.
And then in my mind, while I'm singing, I'm like, oh, perfect. Because usually I'm carrying everything. I'm like, making sure all the guitar parts are there. I'm like, oh, he's going to play it. So I don't know if you remember this, but I look at you, and I don't know what I did, but I was like, yes, like you do that. There was some kind of communication, like you played the lead part and I'll play the rhythm part on the stage, first time playing together. And I noticed throughout the gig, whenever there was something that I wasn't doing, that you would fill in that spot. And so this isn't really fully formed, but I see this a lot when I play with guitar players. Like, a lot of them will not play rhythm. They'll play a whole note on the downbeat and just kind of hang out and wait for their solo. Meanwhile, whenever I'm doing a gig, like if I'm as a sideman or something, sometimes I lay out because that's what needs to be done, but it just seemed like you had this ear where you're almost like you're producing the whole thing on the spot. Like, okay, Rye's doing this, so I'll fill in over here. Like if I was playing something low, you would do something real rhythmic up top, maybe, or
yeah. I mean, having a big ear is obviously the key to key to communication, and it's great because we communicate really easily.
Yeah.
Right? So, that success is based on everybody kind of, having the same, game plan. Um, but that kind of extemporaneous composition, is really based on like, where the holes fall, and a lot of guitar players aren't singers, and I'm not a singer, but there's something I really noticed that singers make fantastic rhythm guitar players because as a guitar player, we're not, like everybody you think is in their own world, but the vocals do their thing and they do this thing, but it's all parts, and it's all phrasing. So if you know where the vocal phrase is and feel where it's going to end, then there's going to be a hole there, and that hole either needs to be addressed with either the fixed part of the song, or padded with a chord, or done something. And that's just really apparent from my years of playing the harmonica player, because harmonica players obviously, like a vocalist, you breathe, and there's only so much breath that you have. In vocal phrases, I'm not really good, especially in blues. The vocal melodies aren't necessarily complex, but the placement is.
100%. Yeah.
So like
rhythmic placement is, yeah.
So if I listen to like I listen to a lot of country blues, not necessarily because I'm listening for a lot of guitar chops, which there's a ton of great ones, but where the vocals start and stop their vocal, and it's repetitive. That's what creates the melody. Like you'll see a guy like Gatemouth Brown who's like a shouter. He's not a country blues guy, but he'll sing for 2 bars and then he'll lay out for 2 bars. He'll come and sing and again. And so there's a 2-bar hole, and that's the nature of the song. There's ones where like the guy will tell a story, like Big Bill Broomsey. He's really not a just an example. He'll sing kind of this repetitive thing on the 1 through 4 bars, not a whole lot of space, and the 4 chord actually acts as kind of the chorus. Like that's what opens up. Like that's the response to everything. He's I love my whiskey. I love my. And there's four bars of something like that, and then when it hits the 4 chord, it balloons into something. Okay. And it's kind of like on a very not common, but like a well-known song. Like listen to like a Muddy Waters song, 8 bar. That's a longer form. There's 8 bars to 1. Listen to like Manish Boy or I'm a Man or something. There's 8 bars of him just kind of talking. And it's not till it goes to the 4 chord that the chorus comes in, and then it's like, oh, that's a vocal phrase. And so I think that way when I play guitar. So like if I play a 12-bar blues, and I know we're starting to kind of gravitate away from the question, but I'll bring it back around, is that I'll listen to the vocal phrasing and going around in the form, and then I can be able to kind of sense where those holes are. And then hopefully I have vocabulary to, complement appropriately. Sometimes I don't, sometimes I totally, shit the sheets and. Oh,
I definitely feel that. Or like, I don't know the style enough. If I'm working on someone's gig and I don't know this, I just don't feel like I could. I'll say something in my own language, but there's times where I don't want to derail where you're going with this, but there's times where I'm like, well, I'm going to say something. I got to say something stated, but I don't necessarily know this style exactly. But I'm still going to just say it. So at least there's something there.
Right. So yeah, like for us, there was a good thing because we speak a common language, at least with the cover songs we did. Like we played Elvis. Like I know those songs. I've heard them a gazillion times, even though I don't know like all the solos. But I grew up listening to them, so I kind of know what feels like it's going to fit and it's going to go there, and and I'm always thinking all the time. So I try to think as 2 guitars like a piano player, right? Like some guy takes the left hand, the bass, and the other guy takes the top. So 2 guitar players should make 1 good piano player.
I love that. That's 100%. Oh, well, when we did that first song, my concerns went down dramatically. As soon as we started playing, I'm like, oh, he's listening, which is crazy because that's actually rare to have a guitar player who's like, hey, what am I going to do or not do that's going to really elevate this whole thing? because I knew you were great, and I had bought some of your courses, learned a lot from it, seen you play a million times, and just loved it. But it really, you're going to hire a great guitar player to play with you. I don't know. Do they have an ego? Are they going to play all over the top of you? And you were like, man, he makes my job easy. So you just not only made it easy to sing and play, but just everything sounded so much better because you were there. It didn't seem like there was anything fighting.
No, and I'm pretty, I'm a pretty low ego guy. One thing I've really learned is that my enjoyment's really based on what the front man does. So if the front man is confident, he's doing his thing, it's just that energy's just gonna translate to everybody else. And truthfully, no. And that's probably the big. No one cares how good the guitar. Only we care about the solo.
Right.
Or the guitar.
All the guitar nerds in the back of the room are like
they care.
Calculating everything, but
most people don't. My job is to just do the best, to be part of that team, and make the front person feel as comfortable. More comfortable they are, less they have to fight.
Right.
Then you're going to present yourself stronger. I'm going to feel stronger, and then everybody wins. I never got lots of blues gigs because I was like a great soloist. I got it because I could play rhythm.
Yeah.
And I understood the holes and the syncopations that worked, and eventually my soloing got better. But my soloing never got overly complex. It just became very very vocal, very spatial. Like I consider myself probably a more melodic and spacious guitar player.
I actually really like your rhythm approach as well. I mean, yes, rhythm guitar, but even in your solos, you're stating these things in a rhythmic way that like really makes it come out. And I'm finding that the guitar players I like the best also do that.